All right, Charlie, we're back at it. We decided to produce a series of videos and talk to some industry leaders on some different topics. And this one, we brought in some great HR people. You ready for this?
Absolutely. It's great to be back with you, Chris, and working with Pam and Bill. This is going to be a wild ride, so I'm excited.
Pam and Bill, you guys want to introduce yourselves, and then maybe we'll kick a topic around?
Sure, Pam, you go first.
So thanks, Chris, and thanks, Charlie. It's great for us to join you tonight on this fireside chat. I'm Pam Crable. I am recently joined an organization called Service Coordination. As a team member experience director, I have overall responsibilities for our engagement, our retention, and our recruitment. So it's good to be sharing some of my experiences with you over my 25 plus years of HR experience with your audience here.
Thank you.
And I'm Bill Schupert. I've been in HR for approximately 35 years, worked for a variety of companies, both in technology as well as financial services sectors. Had the privilege of working with Pam at a small government contracting business that is engaged in social policy research. And that company was acquired in 2020 by the American Institutes for Research, where I hold a position in their HR function now. I head up the HR operations function for the company.
Well, great. It's glad you guys could join us tonight in our fireside chat. I think maybe tonight we talk about, we've all heard about it in the news, the Great Resignation. What do we do for employee retention? There's got to be a hidden cost of turnover in there, maybe some retention strategies, and where is this all going to end? Right, Charlie? You got to find people, you got to get them on contract, you got to get them cleared, and then they disappear.
Absolutely, Chris. And then getting insights from Bill and Pam on how do you have those hard conversations with the C-suite on some of these issues that we're going to talk about tonight. I really look forward to hearing your insights on what's been successful for you and maybe what hasn't been successful, because we all learn through our mistakes. I sure do.
Well, I'll start off. I think one of the best things that happened with COVID is that it really pushed American industry in the direction of quality of work life and remote work and telecommuting. So many times before, I would hear managers say, well, I know the employee wants to work from home, but they've got young children or they've got school-age children, and they're just not going to be as productive as they are at work. And what we found through COVID, with people being forced to work from home, that what happened was productivity didn't drop. In fact, it increased in many industries. People were more productive from home. So what that's driven now is employees and companies taking a look at, what do I want to do with the rest of my career? Who do I want to work for? What are my values? What are the company's values? And as a result, we had a lot of folks saying, hey, wait a minute, I want to take a break, or I want to do something different, or potentially change careers. And so I think you're seeing a lot of the Great Resignation, and people tend to, we talk about the herd immunity of COVID. Well, there's a herd mentality when it comes to job searches and the job market. And if your colleague who sat next to you in the office next to you or in the cubicle next to you, they got a job earning $10,000 more, you could be very happy at your company, but all of a sudden you're thinking, well, wait a minute, what am I missing out on here? And so a lot of people put their resumes out simply to test the waters. And of course, in a very competitive market where we have more jobs than we do qualified people and candidates, you're going to see that increase in resignations. Now, interestingly enough, I just saw a survey the other day that said basically a year to year and a half after this great resignation started, more than half the people who changed jobs said they regret doing it, that
Wow.
they moved too quickly, that they didn't do their full due diligence on that. And so now we're talking about the great boomerang effect of employees being rehired, going back to their former employers. Pam?
Yeah, so one of the ways to avoid maybe the real cost of losing your team is really find out what really matters most to your organization or to your team. Get to know your employees, have one-on-ones, have group meetings, go through surveys, find out what's important to them, which surprising isn't always about salary, right, Bill?
Yeah, very much.
And even after suffering through the 18 months of the pandemic, many employees feel stagnant in their careers, which, to your point, changes their mindset and what the organization really has to offer them and whether they want to be with the company or find another opportunity. As leaders of the organization, you may want to think about ways to incentivize to keep your employees there. Provide them offering professional certifications like PMPs, Microsoft certifications, Scrum Masters. It's about being creative and thinking out of the box. It's more than just covering tuition assistance. You also may want to think about programs that cover options. A lot of students have student loans, right? That's now very popular in the local news. Think about loan repayment options. Many employees are in debt from their college costs. Help dig them out of their personal and financial situations. We also may want to consider hiring an organization coach to help people become better leaders, or develop leadership programs that shepherd your less experienced employees to help them in their long-term career paths. It's all about finding out what your employees want the most. I know it costs money, but you have to invest in the employees if you want to keep them. So think about how you're going to fund that. Think about reallocating funds from what you're saving now, maybe from your brick and mortar. People are working from home, or your lease costs. Take those dollars and reallocate them to really what your employees want and need. Implementing programs like this will really help your commitment to your employees, and they'll stay with your teams.
So if I came out from behind my video chat and text messaging of my employees and started to get to know them and what they wanted, how might I put together a business case? Because I'm just a departmental manager, right? I obviously got to work up the chain. And I know that I've got a huge time in the cost of turnover. I got to retrain people. I got to, job sharing. There's lots of different things I can do there. But how might you suggest we take that message sort of up the chain and engage our C-suite in that conversation?
So you could do the hard costs of turnover. You can determine the sunk cost in terms of training that employee who's leaving the organization, the loss of productivity, having a job open for that amount of time. And then you get into the hard costs of recruiting in terms of postings, interviewing, and your the time for your recruiters to source candidates, and the time it takes that hiring manager to screen resumes. And so going with those hard costs. C-suite executives generally want the company to succeed, obviously, but they've got a bottom line that they've got to manage to. And so I found that if you could go in and say, hey, here's what turnover is costing us, and this is hard costs, this isn't even soft costs. And if we can reduce our turnover by X%, we're going to save, a significant portion of those lost costs and increase our productivity to do that. I always say this, good companies do exit interviews so they know why their people are leaving. Great companies do stay interviews
Mhm.
And that's going to your current team right now individually and spending time with them and finding out, as Pam said, finding out what they want, what drives them. Oftentimes, it's not, a bigger salary increase. It's more flexibility. It's being on a challenging project. It's growing and learning new skills. And those are things that you can do for very little cost that will dramatically improve your retention.
A lot of companies are doing also engagement surveys, trying to improve their retention of their high-performing employees or all of their employees. Gallup has a wonderful Q12 survey where they have a broad spectrum of questions that allows employers to reach out to their employees and get their insights on what's keeping them there and what's motivating them and keeping them engaged. To Bill's point, looking at stay interviews, creating focus groups and data, taking this information and being able to rechannel it back to what aligns with your overall strategy, mission, and vision of the organization.
I was just going to add to that. Companies oftentimes reward employees with spot bonuses, $500 here or $1,000 there. And that's certainly important and it has its place in a total rewards program. But in COVID, being on calls and not being in the same room with the person in meeting, we've tended to overlook the opportunity to tell somebody, listen, you did a great job on that. I really appreciate your help. Or, you're really important to this company and you've got a great future here. Often just that is enough to let the employees know, hey, my boss is looking out for me, or the company believes in me. We go through these secretive processes to identify who our high potential employees are. And I always say to the C-suite executives, tell those folks who they are. Tell them, we're going to make an investment in you. You're in our succession plan and you've got a bright future here.